So real quick, let's talk a little bit about chargebacks. Dean, what is when a new agent calls you and says, hey man, I've got $2,000 in a chargeback, what's your conversation with them look like?
I'll ask, number one, what they did wrong in the house so they can kind of go over the evaluation on their financial inventory presentation, building value and all that. Number two, I'll ask how many appointments they're running. Because at the end of the day, it's just work. If you're running 5 appointments and you wrote 2 apps, 1 chargeback, well, there's your answer. It's like, there's no other way for me to complicate a different answer when you already answer yourself. It's just activity, right? So overcoming chargebacks is to continuously keep working and running more appointments, and you're going to lose 30% of your business, point blank. You will never keep 100% retention. You lose 20 to 30% of your business over your lifetime here with FFL. Accept it. Simple answer. Just work more, and the situation will outwork itself.
And notice how the section's not called eliminate chargebacks. It's called minimize chargebacks. So, depending on the company, depending on the product, you can really minimize your chargebacks. I have a 96% persistency with Americo. It is possible to do that. But, other carriers, I might have a little bit lesser persistency depending on what kind of lead type it was, depending on if it's guaranteed issue, depending on how tight the budget was. There's so many different reasons why policies don't stick, okay? So let's talk a little bit about, Darlene, is there anything that you do after you've made the sale? Is there anything that you do to cement the sale specifically, to try to keep you at the top of their mind, to make it so it's not, something that when they go to bed, they're regretting it. They're looking at it as peace of mind, something they're actually going to keep?
Yeah, so, what I do at the end of the appointment, I want them to know that I'm their agent, not just that day, but they're going to hear from me again. So I'm making sure that they have my contact information in their phone. There's someone I can reach. I'm telling them next steps. They're going to receive their policy. I can come back out there, go over it with them. Just so they know that I'm going to be there for them. I like to take pictures when I can. If I feel like I have had that relationship with them, I do. I'll send it a little later in the day. So glad I was able to get you covered. I just try to follow up with them a few more times. My assistant writes a thank you card, or it's not really a thank you card. I never say thank you in it, but it's just pretty much saying, I'm glad we were able to protect your family. I'm your agent for life. So there's a lot of points of follow-up after. I let them know, if this is something that we can no longer afford, I'm your agent, you call me. You'll know if you had a relationship with that client when they cancel, if they called the carrier or if they're calling you to figure it out. Like, hey, this is too much for me, and you can work out a solution, or if you find out from the carrier that they canceled it. So that's really your thermometer.
Yeah, that's good. 2 things I want to touch on. Write down a website, everybody, called sendoutcards.com. Send out cards, an easy way to send, thank you cards. I don't send thank you cards. I send I've got you covered cards, and mine's like, it's got like a little umbrella over their family, and on the front it's like, I got you covered. And then on the inside it's like, it's a pleasure to serve your family, XYZ, and then, hey, here's, 4 or 5 different reasons why you could hit me up. If you want to increase the coverage, if you want to add a grandchild, if you want to do X, all these different things, review your policy, and then on the back there's a picture of me and my family, so it makes it real. Okay, and right after the policy, gets approved, my office sends those out. It's really automated and simple. If you guys have ever used Canva to make an image, like you see a lot of these recognition images we do for FFL, it's like Canva with thank you cards. And then you just make an image, and then you put your contact list into it. So, I get a client, I put them into my contact list, boom, it sends it out. Okay, so fantastic system for thank you cards. So I absolutely love that. And she mentioned if they're calling the carrier versus if they're calling you. That's a big deal, because you're not just buying an Americal policy. You're buying Jamie Cheerio as a life insurance agent. You're buying Dean Pavlik as a life insurance agent. XYZ, one of these people as their life insurance agent. I'm your agent for life. If I'm not, once again, it's an emotional thing. It's not just a logical thing. On the emotional side, hey, who are you going to trust is going to be here for your family? I have a guy right now who I had a death claim just the other day. Mom passed away of COPD, and she didn't have COPD when we wrote the policy a year and a half ago. And she passed away of COPD. The Americal policy is going to pay out, but the son had no idea what to do. And we'll talk a little bit about this red folder again. Hey, I think his name was Randy. Randy, do you know where the policy is? I have no idea where the policy is. Okay, Randy, here's what I need you to do. Where does your mom keep her important things? Oh, she's got this desk here. Look for the red folder. Finds the red folder. There was all the info. There was the policy. She did exactly what we talked about when I left the appointment. So for me, the red folder, I bring this in, and it's got all the things that I'm going to be working on. It's got my business card. it's got this thing called I'm Your Life Insurance Policy, which I'll explain here in a second. And then here's all the papers that I'm working on. So when I finish up, I've got my credibility sheet that has all the logos. I write and I circle the carrier that we went through. So I circle Americo and I write, Mary Smith, Americo Eagle, the benefit 20,000, the premium 159 a month, the policy number AM00, etc., the effective date. And I put that in here. And I also have another thing that says, congratulations, your application has been accepted. Here's the next 5 things that are going to happen. If anyone wants that, I'm happy to share it with you. But it shows them, hey, the premium's going to pull on this day if it's approved. The policy's going to come in the next 1 to 2 days, etc. And I put it in this folder. And the last thing that I do is on the inside page where it's called I'm Your Life Insurance Policy, I slide this in front of them. And I'll be like, guys, I'll explain why we do the red folder here in a second. And I take 2 minutes. And on top of this I'm Your Life Insurance plan, I write out a little paragraph on why they submitted the request. So Mary wanted to make sure that if she passed away, her son Randy wasn't going to have to dig into his own pocket to deal with the final expenses, et cetera. And I write out 2-3 sentences. Mary ever calls me to cancel, I go, okay, Mary, I'll go ahead and take care of that. Do whatever you want to do. Do me a quick favor. Can you go find that red folder, please? Can you open that up? Can you read that out loud to me? Is that still important to you? Yeah, it's still important to me. Okay, so here's what we can do. I can come back out, and obviously this has just become a little bit too expensive for you, correct? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to come back out and we're going to find something that works because that's still important to you to solve this problem, correct? Assumptive. Yes. You're never going to save a policy over the phone. In person's the way to do it. In person's the way to do it. So perfect. I'll go ahead and take care of it. I'll be out there Tuesday at 5. Back there, sit down. Hey, Mary, what happened? It just got a little too expensive. Okay, let's go to work. I'm here to serve. So red folder, another thing. It's got all the information on the inside. And now on the front, it says Mary Smith Life Insurance. Okay? So now I say, hey, Mary, here's what's going to happen. A physical policy is going to come in the mail in the next 1 to 2 weeks. I'm going to need you to shove it inside this folder. You want to know why we do the red folder? The reason we do the red folder is because there's $7 billion in unclaimed life insurance every year. You know why it's unclaimed? Because people cannot find the policy. They can't find the policy. You realize that your mortgage envelope looks the exact same as your life insurance envelope? It's a white envelope. Okay, so do you really want your son digging through that stack of mail you have there in the corner? Find the red folder. That's it. So I go on Amazon, 25 cents a folder, and I buy 100 or 200 at a time. And I have them shipped to me every couple months. That's it. I pay $40 for 200 folders, probably less than that. And then now I just pre-stuff them, bring them into the home with me. They're all the exact same folder. When I sell a policy, I don't do the Americo folders, the Move folders, red folder, because that exact example, what happened to me just a couple days ago, he had no idea where to find the policy. Hey, where does she keep her stuff? Find the red folder. And now we have a policy that he might not have been able to cash out, and now he's going to be able to cash out, take care of those final expenses because he found that. So that's one of the number one ways that I am keeping policies on the book, because I'm not the person who is just saying, hey, here's a sticky note. Here's a cocktail napkin with your policy number on it. Because guess what also happens? When somebody else comes in to try to replace that policy, this has the info, this has why they filled it out, why they wanted the insurance. It has a brochure stuffed in the back. It's labeled. I've left credibility behind. So who's going to come in and replace that policy unless they just have, somehow just an amazing policy that's that much better. But if I did a good job underwriting, that's the other reason that you can go ahead and minimize chargebacks if you do a good job underwriting. Sean talks about the main reasons that people cancel. People cancel because A, you made it too expensive for them. B, you made it too complicated. Or C, they didn't like you. That's also the reasons why they say they need to think about it too. So hey, we made it a little bit too complicated for you. You didn't understand it. It was a little overwhelming. Let me come back out, walk through that policy with you. Hey, you got that 30-day free look period. I think one of the biggest things is people have their clients call them, and they're just assuming it's to cancel. They're assuming it's to cancel. They don't answer, and the person really wants to cancel because you won't answer your phone. I can't tell you how many times they just had a question. You just got to answer the phone. What's the worst thing that happens? Like, if you don't answer, they're going to cancel. If you answer, you might save it. So the cool thing is that I've got office managers who call on my policies. So for me, I don't personally ever tell anybody they're approved in the home. Ever. That's just my personal philosophy. Everybody does it differently. I say, hey, if I sell a policy on Tuesday, Wednesday, my office manager is going to call you on Thursday to let you know if you've been approved, because it takes 2 to 4 days for the bank to draft. sell a policy on Friday, Saturday, my office manager can call you on Monday. When I get out of the field, stack of client profiles goes on her desk, or I send her a picture if I'm not there. She calls them, hey, Mary, congratulations, you've been approved for the American Eagle for $20,000, and she walks them through that sheet I left behind. Hey, what's going to happen next? Physical policy is going to come in the mail. You got that red folder. Make sure you shove it in there. And now it's not just me, the random young guy who just sold her a policy. It's now, oh, he has an office. He's got an office manager. Like, this is like a legitimate person, like increased credibility, reduced sales pressure. I'm working with their agency. It's not just one guy. Like, if he dies, like, his family's going to protect me. Like, somebody at that office is going to make sure my family's taken care of. So everything that we do is there just to, to cement that sale, so that they're like, that's my life insurance agent for life. And then minimizing the chargebacks. Chargebacks happen. Okay, I think where we'll kind of go with the rest of this, if anybody's brave enough to say it, what's the largest chargeback hole you've ever dug yourself out of?
13 grand.
13 grand. And what was your mindset? Because it was kind of scary, I'm sure. And also, I'm sure that you developed a level of confidence in your skill set in this business that you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first reason why it was 13 grand was because I took 3 weeks off over Christmas, so don't do that. But it's like, you get, like, your comp's good here, and you work really hard. And I think if you believe in your skill set, it just goes away really fast. I don't know.
Mine was 14 grand. And for me, it wasn't really my debt. Just maybe hired some of the wrong agents. That eventually then rolled me some debt. But I remember vividly. I got the role the day before I left for a travel trip. I got hit with the 14 grand in debt, and I was coming to South Carolina for a travel trip, and I was able to go out and help 23 families that weekend, which took care of it. Which I was able to take care of it within 48 hours by just by working hard.
Wow. What about you, Robbie?
Well, I woke up one morning, looked at my Americo email, and all of a sudden there was $8,500 there that had rolled up from one of my agents, and had written a bunch of bad business, but that's neither here nor there. Which I ended up having to pay because that one went incognito. No big deal, with the way that America will work with you because they want to keep you writing. Okay, just remember that. So they will work with you. If it gets over 5,000, you can set up a little separate account. So it's great. It's good. Here's a few things that I do, though, that I wanted to share. And Darlene does a lot of the same things that I do as far as solidifying, as far as taking a selfie, and then I usually send it the next day. But I say in the selfie, when I send it to them in the text, thank you for allowing me to serve you and your family. Okay? 2 days later after that, my executive assistant is sending the thank you note. While I'm sitting with them, the first thing that I tell them is, since the pandemic, life insurance has become a lot like getting a car and a car loan. And I said, when you get that car, you're all excited and you're all happy about it. I said, but what happens with that car if you've got a car note and you don't make the payment for 2 or 3 months? What do? Well, it gets repossessed. And then it's very difficult to go get another car note. So I just tell them straight up, look, it's going to be difficult. If you let this lapse, it's going to be difficult to come back and try to get life insurance again. So for that reason, let's get real. And I want you to be completely honest with me, okay? Because I really don't have any skin in this game. I want to make sure that you're covered and you stay covered so that your family is protected. So tell me this. If each week you were having to set aside just a little bit of funds comfortably that you could put in insurance that doubles as your savings account. I usually say savings account because it's either the CBO or it's a whole life policy. Yeah, one of those. I say comfortably each week. What can you set aside? And usually, if it's a middle class citizen, they're about $20-25 a week. I said, okay, so let's multiply that times 4. It's about $100 a month. Is that correct? And they're like, yeah. And then what I do when I start doing the quotes, I try to break it down where it's a little bit less than what they're comfortable with. Yep. Stay a little bit below it. And it keeps my persistency up at a pretty high rate.
That's incredible. Yeah, just understanding that if you use the financial inventory properly, you can find out what's left in their budget. So, one thing that I always do is I always ask for ballpark numbers. I'm not a huge fan of being like, hey, and exactly how much do you pay for your mortgage down to the cent? Like, it's just like, it feels more like an interrogation rather than like, hey, I really don't care. I'm just trying to get a ballpark idea of where y'all are at so I can see, where you're at. Because like I said, if you're my parents, if it doesn't make sense, I'm gonna tell you not to do it. I just need to have an idea of where you guys are at. So, okay, ballpark, X, Y, Z, okay. And then I always go, so let's say I look and I see they've got, $5,000 a month in income, $1,000 in rent. You guys got any cars? Yeah, $700 truck payment. Okay, now I'm at $1,700 in my head. Okay, and then I take all utilities, no matter if it's an apartment or a house, and I put $500 in my head. Most people pay less than $500 for the utilities, so I just add that in. I'm like, okay, so you guys probably say outside of your, so you got your mortgage, you got your car, so you guys are probably at like $2,400 before groceries, phone, gas, all that stuff. Yeah. Okay. And if I had to guess, I'd probably assume, probably another $500 for groceries, and I'm overestimating everything. And I'm like, so ballpark, you guys probably got like $1,500 left over at the end of the month. We actually got $2,500 left over at the end of the month. They're like proud of that. And it's like, okay, there's the premium. Now there's no, we can't afford it because I've broken that down, and then showing them something's going to stay on the books. So it's important to say things like, hey, would you guys agree that the only life insurance that matters is the one you actually have when you die? Yes. Okay, so we need to make sure you guys can afford this for the next 30 years. We need to make sure you guys can afford this for the rest of your life. And you guys want to make sure that you go to bed with peace of mind, not regretting this. And like, I need to make sure you guys can afford this if you can get approved during Christmas time, if your tires pop on your car, if the roof leaks. Okay, and this option right here, you guys feel like that could disappear into your budget? I say that. You feel like this could disappear into your budget. Oh no, that couldn't disappear. I'll be thinking about that. Okay, let's go ahead and lower that and see if you can get approved. Does that make sense?
Can I just say one thing real quick?
Please.
Andrew Taylor, I heard him say one time, and it stuck with me. He says, don't sell from a point of weakness. And basically what he's saying is don't tell people they can cancel. Like, don't submit policies to see if they to actually issue for them just to want to cancel. So, don't say things like, hey, we're going to submit this, and if it's approved, you have 30 days, you can cancel it if you don't want it. That's selling from a point of weakness.
So what would you say in comparison? If you're explaining the 30, if you're going to explain the 30 days, what does that sound like?
Right. So we're going to actually submit the policy here, see if we can get you approved. If it's approved, 24, 48 hours, first draft's going to come out. That means policy's in force and effect within the first 30 days. I actually try not to say they can adjust down, but I'll say we can adjust the policy up if need be. And, call me, but
Perfect.
save all my information, whatever.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't talk about the 30 days. I don't bring it up at all. My job's to get them coverage and bring value in that. That's just me. If you guys are doing it, kudos if it works for you guys. But I just personally don't do it. I used to, and I would get chargebacks. Because now I gave them a window of opportunity to call carrier directly and cancel because I didn't do my job. But one of the things to really, like I said, is to really build good sentimental value. Like what I do, for example, I give, if it's a final expense appointment, I give like 3 to 4 options. Like I'll do 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30,000. And I'll write down all the numbers, what it's cost per month. And I say, Mary, my job is real simple. Is God forbid you don't make it tomorrow. It's going to be my responsibility to help your son get this death claim paid out. And I'll turn it back on the inventory sheet up now. Which check do you feel comfortable that I can deliver to your son that's going to fit within your budget? Now I'll let her choose the option, not me.
Yep.
And they'll always pick the middle one almost all the time. So building credibility on that.
I love it. Brandon, you got anything?
My thing would be on, submitting the sale. I like to submit the sale on the front end of actually going through the option. And once we pick that option, what I'll ask is, okay, Robbie, this $124 a month, are you sure that this is something that's completely comfortable for you at this time? And the reason I'm asking, even if, let's say next week you're headed to work, you blow out 2 tires on the way to work, right? You get home from work, your hot water heater has burst. This $124 is not gonna, keep you from being able to take care of those things. We're not gonna need to cancel this to take care of those things. Is that correct? Right. And they say yes, and I'm like, okay. Again, the only reason I'm asking because, again, I'm just the underwriter on this, so I can care less, how much coverage you put in place today. But one thing I want to make sure is that, God forbid if something comes up, the last thing I need, is a month, 2 months from now, get an email from the insurance carrier saying that you've canceled. And now I have my boss breathing fire down my back like a dragon because he's going to know that you didn't cancel, that you canceled because you didn't love your family. He's going to know you canceled because I oversold you. Right. So, so I just want to make sure that this is totally comfortable for you. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So for me, I like to cement it on the front end, and making them understand that I'm not here to hurt you. I just only want to make sure that this is here to protect your family, and I'm not trying to get in trouble either. So let's make sure that it's totally affordable.
Absolutely. And guys, if you use any of this information, and it helps you save a policy a week, even one policy a month. If you use this and it helps you save a single policy in a month, that'll pay for a staff member. That'll pay for a lot of things in this business. So for me, I have staff that pay for themselves by minimizing chargebacks. They're a free staff member because they help keep my business on the books, okay? So minimize chargebacks, understand that chargebacks are a part of this business. Sean always says you don't have a chargeback problem, you got a work problem. And that's fact.
And if I could just add one last thing, and just piggybacking on what you said, is as long as you don't stop working, the chargebacks will never hurt you. Because in the way that I look at them, I look at the chargebacks as a interest-free unsecured loan. Is the way that I look at it. If I have a chargeback for 900, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 900 and I'm going to buy more leads with the 900, because that means I'm sure I'm going to go out and protect more families than just the 900. If I purchase more leads with the 900, that's going to take care of the chargeback and get me back ahead of the game at the same time.
That's it. It's just for 9 months.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, so anything that goes outside of 9 months, meaning that the policy stays on the books, at that point, you're going to get a renewal at month 12. You're also going to start getting the back end commissions, so we get 75% advanced up front, the other 25% on months 10, 11, and 12. Stick in this business for a year, and you'll start getting some of those back end commissions and renewals, and that starts eating away at your chargebacks too. You start to build a team. That's the last thing I'll touch on. You start to build a team. You start to earn some overrides here. Your overrides can take care of your chargebacks. So you get to a point like executive vice president and below, senior vice president. You're helping, between, let's say 150 and 500 families a month as a team. Your chargebacks will be totally eaten by your overrides, and you get to keep everything you make. It's a powerful, powerful place to be when you're writing insurance. So that's going to be our section on minimizing chargebacks. Hope you guys took something away from that.